You know you've got a comeback in you. When you take the next step, you're going to make it count. For your career, for your family, for your life. You can earn a degree you're proud of with Purdue Global. Purdue Global is backed by Purdue University, one of the nation's most respected and innovative public universities. This is your chance. This is your opportunity. This is your comeback. Purdue Global, Purdue's online university for working adults. Start your comeback today at purdueglobal.edu.
Hi, friend. It's your inner child calling. And they want churros. A new toy. And a new adventure. Or maybe 5. With the bestest besties on Earth. Find your moment at Walt Disney World Resort.
Hello, my name is Sarah Schleid. I'm a producer at Wonder Media Network, and I'm excited to be guest hosting this episode of Womanica. This month, we're diving into the Divas of history, examining how the label has been used from many angles, whether describing women pejoratively or with admiration. In the smoky jazz clubs of the 1930s, there emerged a soprano voice as sweet as honey. Legends like Anita O'Day and Tony Bennett would often lose themselves in this singer's melodies, letting her smooth tones inspire a path for their own artistry, and helped popularize jazz as a mainstream genre during the 1930s and 1940s. Please welcome Mildred Bailey. Mildred was born in the early 1900s and grew up in the small, close-knit town of De Smet, Idaho, nestled in the Coeur d'Alene Reservation. Her mother was Native American and played classical piano. Her father was of Irish-Swiss descent and played the fiddle. On occasional nights, the family would transform their living room into a makeshift music hall, where neighbors gathered to enjoy the lively jingles played by the family. Moments like these, as well as her early exposure to Native American music, influenced Mildred's singing style and trained her for what was to come. She later said, "I don't know whether Native music compares with jazz or the classics, but I do know that it offers a young singer a remarkable background and training. You have to sing a lot of notes to get by, and you've got to cover an awful range." By the time Mildred was a teenager, the family had moved to the city, Spokane, Washington. There, she began studying piano in school. In 1916, tragedy struck the family when Mildred's mother died. Her father then married a woman who seemed more concerned with getting Mildred and her siblings out of the house than being a stepmom. Around age 17, Mildred left and moved to Seattle. There, she started singing in local speakeasies. It was during this time that she began developing her lifelong friendship with American actor and singer Bing Crosby. In the early 1920s, Mildred relocated again to Los Angeles to pursue her singing career. A few years later, her brother and Bing joined her, and she advised them on auditions and how to break into the music scene. The two men found their footing quickly and were hired by the famous band leader Paul Whiteman. Throughout the 1920s, Paul Whiteman and his orchestra emerged as the most popular dance band of the time. One story goes that a few years after they joined the band, Bing and Mildred's mother paid her back. They orchestrated a way for her to host a party for Paul Whiteman and his band. There was food, homebrewed beer, and of course, music. At one point, some of the players started urging Mildred to sing. Soon, they all joined in. She acted demure, but eventually relented and started belting out a tune. Paul heard the music from the other room and just had to know who was singing. However it actually happened, Mildred officially joined Paul Whiteman's orchestra in 1929, becoming one of the first featured female vocalists in a big band. It was a groundbreaking moment for women in jazz and paved the way for a generation of female singers. With Paul's orchestra, Mildred recorded hits like Georgia on My Mind and Rockin Chair, and eventually became his highest-paid musician. In 1933, Mildred left the orchestra and married her third husband, Red Norvo. He was also a musician, and he was credited for bringing the xylophone into jazz. Red Norvo went on to lead his own orchestra, but it wasn't doing too well. Mildred offered to add her vocals, which ultimately brought along her popularity and saved the band. Together, the couple moved to New York and recorded some of the most innovative and enduring jazz music of the era, including the songs Smoke Dreams, Says My Heart, and Please Be Kind. Known as Mr. and Mrs. Swing, they captivated audiences with their unique blend of smooth vocals and intricate instrumental arrangements, though they would later divorce. Mildred's final hit, Darn That Dream, ranked number 1 on the US Billboard charts in 1940. CBS even gave her her own radio program in 1944. But all the while, she was struggling with diabetes, which led her to retire in 1949. As her health deteriorated, performing became more of a sporadic thing for her. Towards the end of her life, Mildred was also broke. Friends and collaborators like Bing Crosby and Frank Sinatra would help her out financially at times. Her last appearance on Bing Crosby's radio show in 1951 helped cover her mortgage payment. In December of that same year, Mildred died of heart failure in Poughkeepsie, New York. In her short life, Mildred left an indelible mark on the world of jazz. Her unique vocal style and groundbreaking role as a singer helped shape the sound of swing and influence generations of performers. Though she faded from mainstream recognition in the years after her death, Mildred Bailey's legacy is kept alive by dedicated fans and musicians who recognize her immense contributions to American music. She was inducted into the Big Band and Jazz Hall of Fame in 1989. And more recently, the Coeur d'Alene tribe has made an effort to make Mildred's indigenous identity more prominently known, and to lobby for her name to be added to the Jazz Hall of Fame at Lincoln Center. All month, we're talking about divas. For more information, find us on Facebook and Instagram at Womanica Podcast. Special thanks to Liz and Jenny Kaplan for having me as a guest host. Talk to you tomorrow.
Jon Stewart is back at The Daily Show, and he's bringing his signature wit and insight straight to your ears with The Daily Show Ears Edition podcast. Dive into Jon's unique take on the biggest topics in politics, entertainment, sports, and more. Joined by the sharp voices of the show's correspondents and contributors. And with extended interviews and exclusive weekly headline roundups, this podcast gives you content you won't find anywhere else. Ready to laugh and stay informed? Listen on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Before there was internet fraud and phone scams, there were always swindlers. Female swindlers too. Discover the stories of women from the past who not only survived but thrived as con artists and thieves. How did they use their feminine characteristics to swindle in a world where men made the rules? Join me, Lucy Worsley, historian and author, and my all-female team in Lady Swindlers, wherever you get your podcasts.